Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining DocuTrend's live webinar. Today, we're going to be discussing best practices for a cost-effective print management solution. So just some housekeeping rules. Today's presentation is going to be approximately 30 minutes. All the phone lines are going to be muted. So if anyone has any questions, on the lower right-hand corner in the panel, in the webinar panel, there's a question box. You can actually enter your question, and towards the end of the webinar, we'll answer those questions. Today's presenters, Zef Nochi, that's me. I'm the Director of Production Print for DocuTrend, and special guest speaker Joe Manzor, who is our right-hand man, Solution Sales Analyst from Canon USA. He'll be presenting some of the solutions that we sell here at DocuTrend. Also, just a keynote, please mark your calendars for May 17th. We're having another webinar as far as a DocuTrend offering next month on information security. So today's agenda, we've already done the introductions, a little bit about DocuTrend, Canon's print management presentation, production print presentation, and then towards the tail end, a little Q&A. So a little brief overview about DocuTrend. So we're a one-stop shop office automation technology provider. So basically it's from your desktops all the way to high-end production print image press type documents or solutions offerings when it comes to hardware. Then we have a variety of different services. So we have managed print services where we can actually service your entire facility when it comes to prints. Some prints out there are not being managed currently, and DocuTrend does offer a total solution when it comes to managing all your devices, as well as manning your facility if that was a requirement. Another solution we do offer is document workflow. So basically any application regarding capture and distribution, storage and management, if you're going electronic with your documents, we support the entire workflow as well as security on those documents. So basically at DocuTrend, please feel free to reach out to one of our many consultant account executives. They'll be able to offer you some free advice and consultation on your existing office technology. Now what I'd like to do is hand over and introduce Joe Manzor. He'll be our guest speaker. He'll be talking about some of the solutions we sell here at DocuTrend that he supports us on. So Joe, take it away.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Joe Manzor from Canon USA. I'd like to just spend a few minutes and talk to you a little bit about how DocuTrend and Canon can help solve a number of specific challenges, specifically in the output management area. So during today's, or my portion of today's session, we're going to look specifically at the output management area and focus on things like excess printing, being able to track all of the usage that goes through your printers, copiers, and scanners, as well as looking at reporting and being able to help get a better understanding of what makes up your total print cost. So for today's short session, these are the areas that we'll focus on, and I'll highlight a few ways that we've helped current clients be able to help address some of these needs using technology from Canon. Okay. So what do we mean when we're talking about output management? So specifically, we're talking about things like excess printing, document security, and then also reporting and accounting. So some of the considerations that we think about for output management is first data security. So I've seen this countless number of times, and hopefully it's not like this in your environment, but you walk up to the printer and there's a stack of paper sitting in the output tray, right? Or potentially there's, right on a table right next to a printer or a copier. And what's in that information? What's in that wasteful information, right? It could be potentially confidential information, right? So if you work in an industry where you have to deal with things like compliance and you're printing potentially client information, or just internally, where if it's potentially an HR department or a payroll department, where you have confidential information that shouldn't be shared to anyone that could potentially walk by. So we're talking about that, data security, and we'll show you in a few moments on how we can mitigate these types of risks, as well as cost control. So that same wasted print that could potentially contain confidential information is also wasteful. So if someone hits file print and they never bother to go pick up their print job, and at the end of the day those jobs are end up in the recycle bin, that's what we would consider wasteful printing. So I'm sure if I were to ask all of you on this call today, would you like to be able to have a better handle on your print costs and be able to lower the amount that you spend on printing? I would imagine probably I'd see everyone's hand go up. So we'll talk about that as well. So some of the questions that we ask when we go into these types of clients and we want to help them get a handle on output management. The first one, how are you securely printing confidential data? Now some customers may say, well, for confidential data, we provide personal printers to employees that print confidential data. So for example, in our HR department, we give them, they have their own personal desktop printers. Okay, that's one way to do it. But what about the considerations of the cost of those individual printers? Oftentimes, those single function printers that people have on their desk or under their desk, there's quite costly to run, as well as from a management standpoint. So for those of you in the IT world and whose responsibility it is to manage these devices, it's another device you have to manage on the network. It's also another set of supplies. And especially when you're making an investment into a cost-effective multifunction devices like the ones we have at Canon, you want to be able to utilize that investment to not only print the non-confidential information, but also give your employees a way to be able to print confidentially to those devices. I've also heard people ask this question that, when I print a confidential document, I just run up to the printer and hope nobody else gets in my way. I'm able to grab my job first off the printer. I've actually heard some funny responses to that question. But in all seriousness, we'll show you a way in just a moment how we can use Canon technology to help print not just securely, but also to be able to help print to a cost-effective device and be able to do that without inconveniencing your employees too much. What's the process that your company has to reduce wasteful behavior in order to manage your output costs? So again, if I asked you the question, who here would like to reduce the amount of money they spent on print? I would imagine everyone's hand goes up. And if I ask you, what's your plan to do that? We might have not as many hands go up because, without a plan, it's just a wish, right? So we need to be able to use tools like we have in our portfolio to be able to help influence your end user's behavior, to help drive down that printing cost and be able to give you the tools to make the proper business decisions that you need to help ultimately lower that bottom line. Okay. So let's look at some of the ways that we can help our clients with these types of things and the type of information that we're already providing to them today. The first is cost tracking and accounting. So with the Canon software that we have, we're able to track all of the jobs that are printed, copied, scanned, and faxed. And all of that usage can be captured so that we can basically track that information to a user, a department, a group, a cost center. A cost center could mean different things. To some people, it could mean a project code. To some, it means to track by a job or by a client, and down to the device. So we can capture all of this information so you can see the who, what, where, when, and why of printing. So right now, if I were to ask you, okay, you're spending too much money on print or color. Can you tell me what's making that up? Or you probably just have your meters or whatever report that you're currently getting if you're not getting this type of rich information. With these systems, you're able to now see, the marketing department printed this much, the accounting department printed this much, but then go in deeper and be able to see it on a user level. What's the name of the job? What applications are they printing from? So to help you make more intelligent decisions when it comes time to try to change behavior. One of the things that we find when we run these types of reports is we can see the applications that people are printing from. And one that always comes up is email. And an email it's always a shockingly high number of how many pages printed that are, in color from email. And that's a very easy one to fix, right? Because most of the time, an email is not something that needs to be printed in color. It's something that it could just be an email signature, could be the Canon logo, could be your company logo, and that's generating a color print, and your company is paying color print for that. So, using this type of software, you're able to see what's generating the types of pages, as well as create rules to be able to enforce what applications are able to print color and what were to happen, as if a user were to print an application or print from one of these applications that we're trying to control. All of this information can then be delivered into reports, and those reports can be set up to be scheduled. So you can, at the end of the week, end of the month, end of the quarter, end of the half, whatever makes sense to you, we can have this type of information delivered directly into your email inbox to start giving you insight to what's going on inside of the environment. So more than just seeing the total print counters and actually starting to gather some intelligence from what's really happening inside of your print environment. All right, the other area that we address as far as output management is something we call secure printing. And you may hear the term follow me printing, my print anywhere, secure print. They all mean the same thing, right? So why do we put this type of solution in? And I kind of set this up for you already, but without secure print, when you just do direct print, and what I mean when I say direct print is as a user, I'm just hitting file print. I'm pointing it to the printer that's down the hall from me, and my job comes out right away. But as I mentioned earlier, some of the things that are driven by this direct print workflow is you could have that potential confidentiality issue, or if you're printing confidential documents and you print something confidentially, your phone rings, you get tied up, and all of a sudden your company payroll information or client information is just sitting out in the printer tray. Again, I mentioned compliancy. If you deal in an industry that has compliancy around information security, then that's going to be a certain consideration for you as well. And then also just a waste of money, because what ends up happening is all those jobs that kind of get unclaimed, that a user hits file print and never bothers to go pick up, they eventually get thrown in the trash, and that's money going right down in the garbage, especially if you're talking about color prints. So the way that we mitigate this is something called secure print, follow me print, my print anywhere. Any of these are kind of interchangeable terms. And essentially the way that this works is the user hits file print, and instead of the print job going directly to the device down the hall or the one at my desk, however I have it set up, it gets sent to a queue on a server. And it sits on the server until the user physically walks up to the machine and releases it. Now, there's a number of benefits and reasons why we do this. But first, from an end user perspective, is that, as you can see in my little diagram here, a little illustration, if I were to walk up to my typical machine I use down the hall, and someone is using that machine, maybe that machine is down for maintenance. If I was doing a traditional direct print, what would I have to do, right? I'd have to run back to my desk. I would have to resubmit the print job to another printer, and then, get my job from there. With a secure print, I can simply walk up to any connected device on my network and be able to release the job. So if I hit file print and I see someone is using my favorite device down the hall, I can simply go to the one around the corner and get my job from there. So it's very easy for the end user perspective to be able to pick up their job wherever. So that's from a convenience perspective. What about security? So I mentioned the job does not come out until the user is physically standing in front of the printer. The advantage of that is that it totally eliminates that situation where you hit file print and the job is sitting out and can be picked up. It also allows me to print to my cost-effective multifunction devices, the big printers that I put my investment in that have a really nice cost per page. I can now print to those devices confidentially. So no longer do I have to provide all of these personal printers to every single HR department and so on and so forth. From an IT perspective, it's really nice as well because this only uses one printer driver. So as long as I print to this one printer driver, then I can pick it up at any of my connected devices. So Secure Print helps to be able to get a hold on all of this wasteful printing as well as control confidentiality when printing secure documents. So between these two, the statistics as well as the Secure Print, we're able to see clients that go from what I would consider or call an unmanaged situation, whereas they're just doing direct print, they don't have any reporting, and they go to this type of environment. We can typically see about a 15 to 20% reduction in print volume just due to this type of information. So it's really powerful stuff. I can tell you we have a number of clients utilizing this, and it's all Canon technology, and it likely will work with your existing products today depending on what you have. So that's all for my piece. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A, and I'm going to turn it back over.
Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. Some great information. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about managing print costs through your CRDs. So just to piggyback off of what Joe said, as far as topic he mentioned, rules-based printing, where you can redirect your print to the most cost-effective printer. But I will tell you right now, the most cost-effective printer is your production printer in your CRD. So keep that in mind. And the reason why I wanted to discuss that is typically the CRD is going to be the cheapest. So what is a CRD? It's a Central Reprographics Department, also referred to as an implant. It's a facility within a corporation that's staffed, and they have different names: print centers, data centers, mail room with copy capability, copy departments. Those are all CRD implants. And most corporations, a lot of corporations do have it. Smaller corporations may have it on a smaller scale, but nonetheless, they're out there. So some of the pain points that CRDs face. One is the organization may not be aware of what they're able to do. They may think it's just a duplicating department where they can just make copies of, letters or documents. They may not be aware of what technology they have. So if they don't have the highest level, a good level of technology or keeping up with the latest technology, they may not be able to do some high quality colored documents that maybe the marketing department may be looking into. And also, creating the awareness throughout the organization that, hey, you do have the technology. And sometimes certain departments may not know and just go right outside and outsource their cost, which basically creates a lack of control on the spending. Certain people think, hey, I can't print high quality documents internally. This can be true with the wrong type of solution or technology. So here's what happens with outsourcing. So you send a document out, there's security issues. Now, not all documents are going to be have security problems, but let's just say you want to print a financial report in a booklet format before it's ready to be presented to the SEC, whatever the case may be. You're actually outsourcing certain data, certain information to a third party. Sure, you can have them sign a non-disclosure, but guess what? It's still in somebody else's hand, and there's still that possibility of exposure and leakage. So you really want to keep that document in-house. So that's a little bit of a risk that you actually do run. Also, control of costs. So when you outsource, outside vendors are going to say, hey, listen, you want 500 prints, but you know what? I'll give you a better price on 1,000. Well, here's what happens. You go with 1,000 because you think you're getting a better deal and you figure you're going to eventually use those documents. But now something along the line happens. The document changes. Maybe you've given away 400 and you had to change something, whether it's an offering or the individual's in charge, the executive is in charge. Now you've got 600 documents sitting on a shelf that are useless. And guess what? Now you have to dump it. Now that's waste. That's money you spent outsourcing because you have to print a minimum. And that ultimately does cost you more, even though you think it's cheaper per print. But that's not necessarily the case. Also, you're at the mercy of a third-party print company. You need a document. You need something printed. Well, guess what? It's going to take them a couple of days to print it and then bring it back to you. If you need it rushed, well, guess what? They're going to charge you a premium. So it's going to cost you a lot more. You can't print what you want. There's no print on demand. So obviously you're outsourcing it, sending it to the vendor. They're working on it, but you're also at the risk of, hey, they've got a 100,000 print job from some other organization. Now they have to manage you within that. Well, guess what? You're at the risk of not necessarily getting your document back on time. And what if something's wrong with the document? Now you have to go back and get it redone. So again, turnaround time is going to be an issue, and you're at the mercy of a print company. So, why not keep some of that in-house? And being able to print quality documents in-house, there are software solutions that allow you to automate the documents that you're looking to potentially outsource. So whether it's monthly reports in a booklet format, print orders or custom reports in a spiral bound, business cards, brochures, or personalized flyers or invoices that have personalized data within each document. Those are some of the things you have the capability of doing internal. Therefore, by having it automated, you'll be able to save money and be able to do a lot of those things that you're outsourcing in-house. So print on demand, in-house printing. Print what you want when you want it. So instead of saying, hey, I need 500 and you get upsold to 1,000, you know what? You print 100 documents of whether it's a booklet, banner, business cards, whatever the case may be. You print what you want when you need it. You're eliminating waste. So now it's true print on demand. You're not having anything stacked on the shelves. The beauty to that is cost savings. Now, also, you have quick turnaround. So now think about this. Versus actually waiting for an outside vendor, now you can actually get the job done in a quick turnaround period. It's internal, it's downstairs or upstairs, whatever the case may be. And one of the reasons they can do that is because they've got updated technology. So certain documents will give you press-like image quality. So the technology is there today where it wasn't in the past. So your marketing department, your creative department, your art department, your advertising department, all can have that capability of printing high-end quality documents with quality stocks and quality finishing through a variety of different accessories that we do offer. So at the same time, like I mentioned, security, your documents are in-house. They're not external. You have control over your documents, and therefore you're at much lower risk in comparison. So ultimately, it's a very, very cost-effective solution. You would need to contact your representative from DocuTrend. We'll do a free analysis and show you how you can actually improve the effectiveness within the CRD. So ultimately, a well-run CRD implant delivers significant savings for an organization. It measures the quantity, measures the quality, it measures the hidden cost. It captures all the hidden cost that's being done within an organization. And that being said, you have a cost-effective, overall, well-run organization and minimize cost throughout. So that is all I have. And what I'd like to do now is open it up to any questions. So actually, Joe, there's one question for you here. Are you able to integrate with third-party accounting software?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So the answer is yes. So the software that we're talking about can export a pretty customizable CSV or text file that can be used to then be imported into your accounting system. So depending on, I'll answer the question as yes, it's definitely possible. We just want to investigate a little bit further as far as what format that the particular accounting system is looking for. But yeah, we can output the information into a CSV or text file that can very easily be imported into whatever back-end accounting system you may be using.
Great, Joe. I think there's another question that pertains to the same solution. How do we authenticate when it comes to releasing the jobs?
Sure. Yep. Very good question. So, the whole concept of the secure print or the follow me print, right? I mentioned that the user has to walk up to the printer or the copier and be able to then identify themselves so that they can release only their print jobs. There's a couple of ways to doing it. The two main methods that we use are either a PIN code, so each individual employee would have some type of numeric PIN code assigned to them, or we can use a proximity card. So if you're already using proximity cards or key fobs in your building to get into the doors or the parking garage, we can utilize that same technology as a very quick way for your users to be able to swipe that key fob or proximity card at the copier and then be able to get their print jobs.
Fantastic. I think there's another question. I think this relates to my department. So in a CRD, the solution seems very expensive. Is it possible for a smaller organization to be able to participate or have a cost-effective CRD? Absolutely. One of the nice things that we have here is when it comes to digital and image press production print type documents, we have entry level where you can actually come in and do certain high level quality documents with specific finishing at a very cost effective solution. As a matter of fact, Canon has some phenomenal programs out there today that we're able to come in actually extremely cost effective when it comes to cost per print, streamlining, create with a variety of accessories that can be inline and actually making your life that much easier and that much more productive. Okay, it looks like that's it with the questions. So I'd like to thank everyone for attending. Very much appreciated. Please feel free to contact us if you have any questions or you're curious. We'll educate you freely. We'd love to come in and just let you know what you can do better or how we can improve or optimize your current situation. So I want to thank everyone for attending. Thank you very much and good luck.